Hi, Ted here again. This time we're going to have a look at writing good conceptual understandings. Let's get going. We'll have a look now at what makes a strong conceptual understanding. We have to remember, first of all, from the last one, that our conceptual understandings are built upon concepts, which are built upon the facts. And the facts are important. We cannot understand concepts, we cannot have students understand concepts and conceptual understandings without having the basis of the facts, which are important. But now we're going to look ahead to how do we create a conceptual understanding once we've pulled the concepts out that we want students to understand. So conceptual understandings are those connections between a couple of concepts, and they're usually connected through a verb. Now that verb then gives us this powerful generalization, connecting two different concepts together, such as technological advances, the first concept, impact, the verb, society, the second concept. Now, that's a pretty definite one. We can also have ones that have a qualifier in them as well. So, such as differences in beliefs and cultural norms may lead to discrimination. So, generalizations, like concepts, are not locked in time and place. They transfer, they help develop that deeper understanding, they encourage that metacognition because you're basing it in facts and case studies or multiple examples and then lifting out of the facts and the details to what are the main concepts that you want students to understand, and then what are the connections between those concepts that you're hoping for them to walk away from the course with. When we're writing strong generalizations, there's a few rules that we can be thinking of. Statements that describe the relationship between two or more concepts, true and apply to new situations and concepts. That's often very important where we're wanting students to transfer to different situations. Free of values or opinions, so we're not using words like should or must or things like that. Are written in the third person. They don't contain low-level verbs, so you want to really I'll use the word impactful, even though impact is in this list. You want an impactful verb that really shows the detailed connection between concepts. And they're written in the active as opposed to passive tense, and they would generally follow the phrase, learners will understand that. So if we look at one here, in order to reach a destination, individuals use the available transport systems within their community. So in this case, there's three concepts that we're having students look at: destination, transport systems, and community. And we've connected them together. One for you to have a look at. So people should recycle their waste to reduce energy use and raw natural resource mining. If we step through, we can see that there are two or more concepts in there. It's true, probably, and apply to new situations and contexts. Written in third person, no low-level verbs. It's active as opposed to passive, and it could follow that phrase, learners will understand that, people should recycle. But of course, the place where it falters a little bit is that value or opinion. Second one, climate change is affected by deforestation. Just have a quick think as to where it falters. It falters when it comes to the verb that's, and so you might ask the next question, how does it affect deforestation? Or so what? Which are things that we're going to look at next. So we'll do that next through scaffolding our thinking and trying to lift the level of understanding and the depth of understanding of some of those conceptual understandings. So we already know how to improve our specificity of thinking. Our own children will often come home from school and say to you, you'll ask them how school was, and they'll say, oh yeah, everything was brilliant, or they'll say, everything was rubbish. But what does that mean? What's the detail behind that? If they said it was brilliant, you might ask them, why was it brilliant? Or if they said something broke, how did it break? Or it was rubbish, in what ways was it rubbish? Getting students or your children to lift their level of thinking and to a deeper understanding of what made the day great or not great. So if we have a look at scaffolding thinking, we start with what we'll call a level 1 generalization. All cultures have celebrations. Probably fairly true, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of detail or depth to it. So we might ask a question or rephrase the statement as, why do cultures have celebrations? Again, this is going to depend on what the outcomes are that you want from the unit. The generalization could then be celebrations express traditions of a culture. So now there's a why involved, level 2 conceptual understanding. Again, apologies, I will use those interchangeably. Another example from design and technology, the design process affects the success of a prototype. Okay, again, a weak verb in there being affects. So we can rephrase that to how does the design process affect the success of a prototype? So this may make more sense for a design person, but the design process often contains consultation with stakeholders, ensuring alignment between their needs and a finished prototype. So that might be the important conceptual understanding that you want students to walk away with. In mathematics, graphs help us to visualize data. How or why do graphs help us visualize data? Now, graphs help us visualize data to analyze and interpret information around us. Again, lifting the level of the conceptual understanding. And one last one from English. Text elements affect the reader's proximity to a narrator. Again, a weak verb in effect. How do text elements affect the reader's proximity to a narrator? So a level 2 might be text elements may increase a narrator's trustworthiness in the eyes of the reader, leading to emotional and intellectual proximity. So now sometimes that may not be enough, and occasionally you may want to lift the conceptual understanding to what we call a level 3. And the question that we would ask in order to have students thinking about this, what is the significance of this? So what? So what is the significance? And in this particular example, writers can manipulate text elements to lead a reader to certain conclusions about a character. Now, we don't want all of our conceptual understandings to be at a level 3. We're aiming for a level 2, but there might be occasional time where asking that so what question lifts that conceptual understanding to where you want it to be for your particular course or unit. And that's it. That's all there is to writing conceptual understandings. Obviously, teachers need to have an understanding of how these are written in the first place. You're going to come into the school, conceptual understandings will be already written for you, but there needs to be that understanding of how they're formed and what the rules are, because part of the learning experiences that the students will go through is developing their own conceptual understandings. Here are 5 examples for you. You may want to pause the video, try and identify the errors in each of the conceptual understandings, and then try and rewrite the conceptual understandings without an error in them. On the next page, you will find the rules that we identified earlier, which you can flip back and forth between. And then when you restart the video, we'll come into a page that has possible solutions for conceptual understandings. There are no right or wrong answers. It does depend on the learning outcomes that you want the students to obtain. So go ahead and pause the video now and give it a try. And again, here are some possible solutions for the 5 examples. Thank you. And next up will be Cameron Hunter, and he will walk you through the structure of our UWCSEA curriculum.